Yo, what's up everybody? How you doing? Regular video. So while I got you guys here, let me go ahead and do some sharing while I'm getting ready to get started. So give me about 2 minutes or so to do some sharing of this. One of my favorite parks. People out here with dogs. There's people out here walking. Somebody may walk up right here. Somebody decided they want to spray paint on my little favorite spot right here. I feel some kind of way about that. You know, they spray painting all in my spot. I'm gonna do some sharing before I get started. This conversation is based on an a conversation that I saw in the Born Winners group. Uh, so you know, it is what it is. I want to talk about this for a few minutes. Also, if you are finding me for the first time, hey CD, how you doing? Let me know who you are, where you at. If you find me for the first time, we talk about the full 360 degrees of life here, the alchemy of life uh, on this page. So, yeah, that is one of the challenges of being out here in nature. We're going to get some bugs. Oh, the bugs. But I'm just doing some sharing right now. If you guys want to share it, that'd be cool. But this question came Durham, North Carolina. This question came from a group that's in the good morning, Jerry. That's in the Born Winners group. And the thing about it is, if you are going to be in Charlotte next week, we're going to be in Charlotte. Me and Kevin, Ricky Swank, Kevin Wesley, Ricky Swank. I forgot Mr. Williams' last name, and Mr. Williams. That's his last name. Williams. I forgot his first name. And Callie, I think it's James, but and then Callie's gonna be there, Tacoma. And you know, if you guys still haven't got your ticket, you still can go out there and get your ticket. It would be cool and great for you guys to be there. And I know it's $50, and you get a lot for your $50. I don't know what that is that's flying around me. What the heck is that? Oh, it's a bee. There's a bee trying to attack me. Grand Rising, Liddy. I'm being attacked by the bees. So I hope you guys are able to join us next week as we are in Charlotte for the workshop on leaving religion. And what we're going to talk about today kind of goes in hand with that, as far as how people are so afraid of hell that they are afraid to leave religion. So I was thinking about that today. Well, actually, I've been thinking about it for a few days, as a person had a question, had a comment in the Born Winners group. So, oh, and go to Be the Evolution if you want to join us in Charlotte. And that person had some question. He had a statement. It was a good statement, and I understand it was a statement for Christians to answer, but he's in a non-Christian group asking. So he didn't necessarily get the answer that he was looking for. But I still thought that it was a pretty good question. He had a series of questions. We're going to answer some of those and then press on after that one. So let me not hold you guys, because I can only do this as long as my phone has power, because I'm out here in nature, and of course there's no plugs. So hey Anthony, how you doing? So this is based on, if you've seen this question on, and it got this picture on it, so you can find a video like I originally planned. I would have posted that picture up of people when they get to heaven and they finding their children, finding their loved ones, and everybody's all happy and that sort of thing. And this is what he said. What's up, Joshua? How you doing? Oh, and I keep saying he, but it's a young woman. Sorry, young lady. Her name is Tyra Hill. But she said, "Hey, Bible believers, no disrespect, but can you be so kind as to shed some light?" Now, I'm not a Bible believer. I read it, I understand it, I read it for wisdom, for what it has, and then I throw away the rest of it. But she says, "So does it happen? So does this happen when you die?" Hey, Kathy from Oakland. When you die and go, so does this happen when you die and go straight to heaven. All right. Or don't die and go straight to heaven, but you go to heaven when Jesus comes back with a trumpet of God, and legions of angels, and the dead in Christ shall rise first from those that remain, and from those that remain will get caught up and meet Jesus in the air. Or does this take place after the rapture? Um, Josiah, how you doing? God sent that B. Well, if God sent that B, my energy told me that. I told myself, and in the midst of talking, B, I need you to leave me alone because I'm doing something right now. But you can come back, and whatever you was trying to get to, you can get to it later. But I need you to leave me alone, and he left. So if God sent the B, I told the B where to go. That's that dominion thing. But anyway, so the first part of her statement is the question of, and this is part of the whole deal. Do people go to heaven immediately, or they go to hell? And the Bible is kind of like back and forth on that one. A lot of people, it's comforting for people to think that their loved ones went straight to heaven. And they have verses in their Bible that kind of support that idea, that their loved ones are going straight to heaven. In if you read and look at Revelations, there's two things. Revelations, it talks about how in Revelation 6:9 that when are you going to, those who died in Christ, when are you going to avenge us for those who have persecuted, when you're going to go and avenge? So evidently there's people who are supposed to be in heaven who are knowledgeable about everything that happened down here on earth, and then they're like, oh, you got to get some revenge. When you going to revenge us? We're sitting up under the throne. When you going to get revenge? This is what John supposedly saw in his vision, right? I have watched a couple of videos on YouTube, and people say, yeah, having a near-death experience. Near death, not death. Nobody's died and come back. Absent from the body is present with the Lord. That's what they say in church. Yep. I'm curious as to when the dead are supposed to be risen. Do they have the same mindset as when they died? So that's part of her question. Like, do you have that same mindset? No. You are yes and no, according to their book. According to this literature, you have the mindset that as of right now, because the doctrine teaches that there's and some doctrines teach that there's a current heaven, and then there's an eternal heaven. There's the new earth, new body, new heaven, new everything that happens after the rapture. See, after the rapture, you're supposed to have this whole new thing that happens. Even though you're supposed to have the rapture, then there's 1,000 years, and then the whole new heaven, new earth, and all of that, and that's when you're supposed to have this new body. That Isaiah talks about, you have a new body, you're a new creature, right? It all talks about how your past troubles will have been forgotten in Isaiah. Revelations also talks about how you're going to wipe away all your tears, and there'll be no death and no mourning and no crying. So that was a little weird, because it's like it's implying that you're going to remember stuff. You're only going to remember good stuff. You're not going to remember any of the negative things that happen, or the negative things that happen to you, the negative situations, the corruptness, none of those things, which is kind of crazy. Because what it shows, what it's implying, is that you're going to forget your relatives. And let me get to their whole question so that we got it all in there, right? They also said, and if you die and go straight to heaven, then does that mean when you get there, which is like, okay, why is there a judgment day? You should, like, if he's all knowing, he should already know, right? Or when the great judgment day comes, is there a chance that you might get kicked out of heaven? Well, it's kind of weird. If you go to heaven the first time, and then there's a judgment day, but the judgment day is supposed to be for those who haven't died and Jesus not came back, and then they're being judged. But then there's this whole book of life. So why do you need the book of life? I mean, shouldn't, as they rise up, they should already know? You should already know who's going. Why get you to the pearly gates and be like, what, there's a trap door right here, and it's, you go through the trap door if you didn't make, if your name's not in there? But why does somebody need to read your name? Can you imagine how long that line is? I don't like standing in line. It's a long line. You know how long? I mean, there's 8 billion people on the planet right now. That's a long ass line, you know. And if the Christians are right, then all the Muslims don't even need to get in line. So that's that's 2.6 billion people don't even need to get in line. The Jews don't need to get in line. That's like 1 billion people. They don't need to get in line. There's like a whole bunch of people, Buddhists, Muslims, Hindus. None of these people need to get in line. So I guess it gets short. Only 2.6 billion people will be in line, or it's 2.7, whatever it is for Christians, will get in line, and then more than likely half of them ain't getting in either. So I guess they got the trap door waiting on them. I don't know. But it's a whole. So there is this idea that they teach that there is a judgment. You're gonna get judged when you go up there. So you got to get your P's and Q's in order. You better act right. All right. I'm gonna try to get back to the questions in just a minute here. So hold on, give me a minute for the question. Let me finish reading her statement. So he said, "Oh, or when you get to the judgment day, when judgment day comes, is there a chance you might get kicked out of heaven?" Oh yeah. Or is the great judgment when after Jesus comes and take you to heaven, then opens the book of life? So I talked about that one. But yeah, that's supposed to happen. That's after Armageddon, which is Megiddo, which is a city. What if your family member doesn't make it to heaven? Are people going to be this happy knowing their loved ones are eternally burned and being tormented in hell? But that's where, like in Revelation, it talks about it's going to wipe away all your tears and all that. So there's a doctrine being taught. You're not going to be crying and mourning. So the only way for that to happen is that you would have to not remember your family members. You would have to not remember any loved ones that you had. And remember in the parable, Yeshua was teaching that, hey, look, no one is married in heaven. It was like, well, this woman been married to 7 different dudes. She went through all the brothers as the law prescribed. So when she gets to heaven, who is she married to? And he was like, nobody in heaven is married. So all those relationship ties are going to be wiped away according to the Christian doctrine. So if you had a family member that went to hell, you won't remember that family member. So I guess free will and who you are really doesn't matter. So it's kind of like, what's the purpose of making all of us if only to get a bunch of mind-wiped creatures, people, up into your heaven who don't remember nothing about their life here, don't remember nothing about their, or if they do remember their life here, they only remember the good stuff, and then they don't remember anything about their family members, their loved ones. What kind of God are you? That's foolishness. That makes no sense. Why even create us if that's your plan? If that was your plan, and then you already know everything, what was the point of creating us? Makes no sense. Her last part of her statement says, can you imagine your mother, your brother, sister, father, burning and screaming in eternal fire, and I thought everyone would be wearing white robes, and I don't see much of a diversity. Oh, she's talking about the picture, how everybody's supposed to be wearing white robes, but they wearing all kind of different clothing. All right. So I thought that was a good statement. It was an interesting statement. So of course I went to my notes to dig up some stuff. And as I've already explained a lot of it, there is another interesting parable. And some scholars see it as a parable, some see it as a literal story of the story of the rich man and Lazarus. In this story of the rich man and Lazarus, what you have is a situation where there's a rich man and Lazarus is sitting at his gate. And Lazarus is poor. And he's just trying to get whatever scraps comes off the rich man's table. But the rich man is like, nah, you can't have none. So he's mean and he's evil towards him and everything. Y'all see that lady behind me? Mean and evil. So then they both die. Lazarus goes to heaven. The rich man goes to hell. Now, some people think it's literal because it gives names. Most of the time in a parable, a name is not given. But in this instance, a name was given in the parable. So Lazarus then gets into heaven, and the rich man petitions to Abraham to say, hey, can you ask Lazarus to send me just a drop of water to cool my tongue? And they're like, nah, we can't do that. He's like, well, can you send Lazarus to talk to my brothers? And it's like, nah, can't do that either, because they didn't believe it. Then even somebody coming from heaven, they're still not going to believe it. It's an interesting concept, because it's already been established before that there's this communication that can go on between the two-dimensional planes. And since there's a communication that can go on between these two-dimensional planes, it's kind of like that gives you an idea that people actually can remember, people actually do remember what has happened in their life and what is still going on, as if that plane is on the same linear timeline as everybody else, right? So in thinking that way, and this was a parable that was being taught, it is to suggest that you will remember, you will know, you remember your past deeds and your previous deeds. You remember those who are going on right now in this temporary, in what they call the temporary heaven. But the eternal one, that is when all is forgotten and you don't remember nothing, and It's like you got the CIA mind wipe going. So I thought that brought up an interesting little problem. Why allow people? First of all, you're saying that heaven, God, existence, is in the same rotational pattern as the earth. That we view the sun and the moon and the seasons when you're in these dimensions as the same as earth time. But if you believe that would be a situation where we exist as the only life in the universe. That's it, just us, just this planet. It's one little small planet. This is where only life exists since everything is on our timeline. Evidently written by man for man. It would also suggest that you remember everything. And if you remember everything, then you remember your family. The rich man remembered his brothers, you know, and he's talking to Abraham, asking Abraham. So there's a phone line between hell and heaven that he can communicate if you take it as a literal. And since they name names, it's often taken as a literal, as a possible literal story. So these things are set up for so much fear. And I don't want to lose a lot of you guys' questions. Like I said, I only got so much, battery be going down real quick when you're doing lives. Yeah, they always say after in the body, the dead are supposed to have been risen. Do they have the same mindset? So are the risen to make the world better, or are they just here to kick it? Well, there's supposed to be like this new heaven, new earth that comes down, and they're supposed to inhabit that. That's like why you are being judged if God knows the past and the future. Exactly. There's no point of a judgment. No point. And yep, it makes no sense. If he's going to wipe your mind, then when we die, why not just do that while we're alive? Exactly. It makes no sense, you know. It makes no sense. What y'all gonna call her Park Patty? She gonna call the popo on me? I don't know. She came up here and she was like standing right over there, so she heard some of the things I was saying about the Lazarus story. So she might call Park. We'll call her Park Patty, or she called the popo on me. But y'all funny. Y'all funny. Hey, don't have the police come down here looking for me. Yeah, we speaking that into existence. But so we have these situations. So that's the mindset. That's the teaching. And you have depending upon whose side of the fence you go on, you're going to have a different conversation. But all of that is just a tool. Remember, it's all just a tool to keep you in fear, to keep you afraid. Everything in heaven is on earth like that because man wrote it. Even in the Marine Corps, we sang a song talking about how we guard those streets, and we named them their streets of gold. And I used to always pick with my Marines and say, if heaven is this wonderful place, then why do you need Marines? Why do we have to be on the ready? What are we guarding? And when you think about that, there is a reason to guard. Unless in this heaven, this is why there must be a mind wipe. This is why there must be a mind wipe. Think about it. In the first rendition of creating heaven, this Christian Judaic God created a heaven with his angels, right? And then what happened? 1/3 of the angels rebelled. So you got to get the mind wipe. You got to do the mind wipe, because here's the thing. If I'm in heaven, right, and I know that my daughter, my son, my other daughter, my mom, my dad, if I know that they're burning in hell, first, I might petition. Like, come on, God, Jeebus, Ayus, Yeshua, El, Yahweh, Baal, Jehovah, whatever name you go by now, depending upon what time period we pick, I need you get my family out. Come on, just like the Catholics be praying and still doing things right now to try to get their families out of hell that they believe is in hell. I'm going to be petitioning. Now, after a while, I'm going to stop petitioning. And I'm going to be like, look, we need to run a raid. We need a raid operation, Black Ops. I need everybody who's in the Marine Corps, everybody who is, Navy SEALs. I need all the Force Recon. We finna run a Black Op and go down and pull some people out of hell, So It's going to be, right? Oh, yep. Hey, Dee Dee, how you doing? We gonna run a blackout. We may not rebel to take over initially, but we about to rebel and go down and run a blackout and go get my family out of hell, right? So, of course, in order to prevent that, you gotta have that mind white. You gotta have the mind white. When you don't, that's why I say there's no mourning, no crying. You gotta have the mind white so you don't remember that you got family down there. It's gonna be like Lion King. You know, you sit up there with Mufasa, you little Simba, and he talking about all of this is our kingdom. Except for that black area over there. We don't go over there. That's hell. Don't go over there. And Simba went over there. But yeah, you got to have the mind white, because otherwise we're going to go over there and find out that our relatives is over there burning and dying, right? So, can't go over there. You got to have a full mind white and make the place non-existent. But that makes up the point of having that mind white. I must have came out here with all the dog people coming out here. Like debriefing of a spy and all he has learned. Yeah. So they take that part out. So that's the only sense that the mind white makes, because then you prevent another revolt in heaven, because we cannot have this free will according to this story, according to this literature. That free will must not be available. It can't be available for you. So we got to take it out. Thank you for providing knowledge. Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. I love doing this and do this all day. I asked my Muslim co-worker if God is the creator of everything and we are all God's children. Isn't Satan God's child? He started studying and said, I don't agree with that. Well, it doesn't matter what you agree with. Here's the literature. The literature says that God created everything. That literature from the Hebraic Bible says God created everything. 7 days. He created all the angels. And if Satan was a former angel, God created Satan. It even says it in Isaiah, I created all the evil, I created all the good, and I created all the evil, all the iniquities, everything. So everything is creation. People try to say that man initiated evil by the fall of man, which is really just a kick to women, But at the end of the day, they can't deny it. You can't on one hand say God created everything, and then on the other hand say he didn't create Satan. Because if Satan was created outside of God, then that means Satan is outside of the universe, outside of God's purview. Therefore, Satan is just as powerful as God, which actually sounds like what? The poles. Polar opposites of the pole, the polarity scale. You have good and evil. Good on the far right, evil on the far left, and everything in the middle in between. But they are the same. Exactly the same. This is why when people say, well, if God is so powerful, why does he just destroy the devil? Because he can't. Destroying the devil would be like destroying himself, because he can't. If you destroy the devil, then you destroy God, because at that point, you can't have one side of a pole and not the other side. That you must have the entire pole, from one extreme to the other extreme. So they are two opposite sides of a coin. So the next time you talk to them about that, just let them know, hey, it's like saying that I'm going to destroy cold. If you destroy cold, then you never have hot. How do you know what hot is? Then you can't destroy cold. Let me put it better. You can't destroy cold without destroying temperature. Can you destroy temperature? In all of the universe, there is temperature. You cannot destroy temperature. I don't care who you are, what you think you are. It's something that can't be destroyed. So since temperature can't be destroyed, then neither hot nor cold can be destroyed, because they're the same. Grown-up people don't necessarily connect with the plight of family in this way. There are family in prisons, and we embrace their life circumstances. Yeah, we do embrace their life circumstances. I don't really know how to answer that part right there. I mean, I probably got a lot. You probably said that when I was saying one thing, but I don't know what I was saying when you wrote that. So I'm a little lost on that one. I apologize, because I know I talk a lot. And if Satan is evil, how did it get its mind? How did he get his mind to set? If Satan is evil, how did it get its mind set? And who said it was evil? Exactly. I get what you're saying now. Right. God said so. It's the victor. The one who wins the battle writes the story. So in all honesty, so that part right there, Satan, who says it's evil, who says it's bad, who says it's good. we can get into a discussion at that point about the serpent and the eagle, which is the battle that's being fought. If you look at every country, there's every Western, more powerful country that is hell-bent on war or always looking for war, always looking to be out of sync with nature, are generally represented by eagles. The countries that are more agricultural, working with nature in unity with the earth, they're usually represented on their flags and in their societies by serpents. This is the old Anunnaki Babylonian battle between Enlil and Enki, the serpent and the eagle, and the different Anunnakis who fall on either side. Those who are more in sync with nature, they were represented by the serpent. The warlike ones who want to make man slaves were represented by the eagle. It's been a battle based on the Sumerians, and as we see in our societies, that's been going for a long time. The Romans were based on the eagle. Their symbol was the eagle, and we see they went about conquering. So, yeah. And then you have mixtures. You do have countries that are represented by serpents, which is also wisdom, and then they get infiltrated or corrupted by the evil, by that. So who creates evil and who decides good is the one who wins. Whoever wins. 1,000 years from now, I could be considered evil or I can be considered good, depending upon what group of people is on top. Yeah, that's right. You can't have hot without cold. You can't. It's an impossibility. That's why I love the Hermetic laws. The Hermetic laws are just... Sorry. You know I'm using my phone, so somebody tried to call. So it's, human beings created good and evil. There is no such thing in nature. And you're absolutely right. There is, like, the serpent is not evil in nature. Actually, the serpent is very good in nature because it keeps the rodent population down. And if you ask me, I'd rather have more serpents than I have rodents. All right. On my phone, if you ever meet me on my phone when it first comes on, there's the Egyptian goddess Renz. She's the protector of the harvest, is what she represents. She has a cobra head. The reason why Renz became a goddess of protecting the harvest is because cobras used to be in the fields and they would keep the rodent population down. So the Egyptian deified, created a goddess based on that, right? So I just use the representation of it. I don't believe in there was a goddess, Renz, who sent the serpents and nothing like that. But yeah, I mean, it's just a representation of a system, of an energy. But it was based on nature. Nature is not good or evil. There's, like I did in the video that I said yesterday, if this entire forest that I'm in, it's not a real forest, it's woods. This whole woods that I'm in burned down. Nature doesn't say, oh, it's so bad, poor little, it burned down, that's so evil that the fire burned it. No, nature said, oh, okay, the fire burnt it down. I got some new ash, new nutrients in the ground. We finna grow again. And it just grows again. It doesn't like lean on it, stay on it, suffer on it, keep its mind, nature's mind meditating on the fact that it burned down. It just says, okay, it happened. And we're gonna grow some more trees and we're gonna grow some more foliage and keep going. Winter comes every year and all this greenery goes away. If you've seen some of my older videos when I was here in the wintertime, you could see all the way back, but now you can't. It's a cycle, and neither is good or bad. The owl killing a rodent is a good thing to me, but it's a, bad thing to the rodent. The rodent thinks it's bad because the rodent gets but even the rodent doesn't think it's bad. It's just a cycle of life. They don't think about that. Have you ever seen like the animals on the, like on the Serengeti or something, when the lion is chasing, and they grab the little gazelle? Yeah, some of them look back and be like, oh, damn, Charlie got caught. Look at that. Charlie got caught. We told you can't be the slowest one. Ain't got to be the fastest. It just ain't got to be the slowest. Charlie got caught that time. So, okay, I was 186, so now I'm 185 in speed. So, Charlie got caught. Then they go on by their business, start grazing again. They don't linger on it. It's a cycle of life. It just happens. All right? But we're conscious. The Mexican seal has the eagle fighting a serpent. Yes, it does, because think about it. The Spanish conquistadors came in, conquered Mexico, took it from the Aztecs. The Aztecs and the Mayans, their representation was the serpent, right? So they were the serpent, wisdom, in tune with nature. But here comes the Europeans, the Spanish, the eagle, conquering, devouring the land of its natural resources. And, they made the mistake of thinking that it was it Quetzalcoatl? I forgot the name. Quetzalcoatl, I believe. Thinking it was their return of their god, Quetzalcoatl. You know, I was going to do a whole video about this because he had a beard. Because Cortez had a beard, wearing the shiny armor, was white. They thought it was the return of their gods. And when you see it, they thought he was descending from heaven. So it was like, it's our return of our God. And then him then killed all of them, you know. But yeah, so Mexico has been fighting both their Spanish heritage and their Aztec Mayan heritage. Uh, if the Aztec Mayan heritage win, they'll probably become a much better country. But they're trying to keep up with the industrialization as well. It seems impossible that an all-powerful God could create something that would turn on him. Just saying. Uh, yeah, my sister just tried to call me. She don't want that. Just, she don't want that. I'll call her later. Yeah, that it would. Exactly. So if God knew everything that was going to happen, it's like, why even create it? Why even bother? Makes no sense. As a human being who is not benevolent, does not know all things, don't understand the higher workings of the universe to in its entirety, I wouldn't make a situation where the majority of the beings that I create, the conscious beings that I create, they're gonna burn in hell for eternity, simply because they didn't believe in a religion that started in this small little place, and it took like thousands of years for it to grow, so that roughly almost 1/3 of the people would believe in it, and still probably got thousands of years to go before you can get more and more people to believe in it, except for the fact that Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world right now. So it's kind of like a monkey wrench thrown in the plan, because Christianity is not the fastest religion that's growing. Islam is, right now. And who knows how that's going to turn out in 50, 60 years. It may start its decline, you know, especially if they stop having so many babies in the Islamic culture, not religion, the culture, stop having so many babies. That one will probably start declining as well. So it's like you created a lose-lose situation for the majority of people, conscious people that are going to be born that has a consciousness, and you're going to put them in hell, fire, and brimstone. Why? That's sadistic. And there's a movie, Lucy. One of the things I love about the movie Lucy is that the more she grew in her intelligence, the more amoral she became. Right? If you watch that movie again, think about that as you watch her in the movie. The more she used her mind, more her mind became closer to 100%, and her understanding of the universe increased. She became less emotional, less judgmental, and really became an amoral creature. So to me, what that symbolized was how I do believe in a creative designer, but I believe that it's in amoral, not this. I'm gonna punish you. It's like, hey, here's the laws of the universe. I made them. Do what you want to do with them. At the end of the day, wherever your consciousness decided you're gonna go, or whatever universe your consciousness creates, is where you're gonna go. I made infinite dimensional planes for you to exist in, and you can go to this one, or you can go to that one. You can go to hell if you want to believe that. You can go to hang out with Zeus if you want to. You can go hang out with Nefertiti. You can go hang out with Montezuma. You can go hang out wherever you want to hang out. You can come back here as a butterfly if that's what you believe, you know, because the subconscious mind is an incredibly powerful thing. Somebody said something about near-death experience. It's just like when you go to sleep. Like when I was sleeping last night, the dreams that I had, you couldn't tell me it wasn't real. While I was in the dream, it was completely real. So imagine a lot of Christians believe in soul sleep. When you die, you go into this soul sleep, this dreamlike state. Whatever your subconscious is projecting at the time, your conscious believes that is real. That's life for you. So imagine doing that, period. That's it. You've left this existence, now you're in a soul sleep. That existence is whatever life is, what you've created. So that's why I say I don't believe hell exists, because in my mind, I'm not going there. It doesn't exist for me. I make sure it doesn't exist because I don't want my brain to trick me up, and all of a sudden I believe in something so hard that's why I end up going. We even say that in the way in today's world. Whatever you focus on is what you will manifest. So if you focus on the fact that your relationship is going to end. Your relationship will eventually end. If you focus on being in great health, then your actions will start to dictate you being in great health. If you focus on saving money, making money, then your actions, your life starts to make money. Whatever you put focus on is what you get. If you put focus in your mind constantly, like, I'm trying to avoid hell, I'm trying to avoid hell, I don't want to go to hell, I don't want to go to hell, I'm trying to be as good Christian as I can, be a good Muslim as I can, I'm trying to be a good Jew as I can, so I don't go to Sheol, I'm trying not to go to hell. If that's all you're thinking about, then when you die from this existence, guess where your ass is going? Straight to hell. Because that's where your focus has been. That's just my thoughts on that one. Is it possible that there are two gods? The evil God, kicking butt historically? Yeah, it's called Enlil and Eng. No, I do. See, that's the thing. And that's a conversation where we talk about the archons, the Council of 12, the Anunnaki. What we have perceived and written in literature as gods is not gods. Now, do I believe they're aliens from another planet? No, because transversing the space, like our closest galaxy from us, I mean star, not even galaxy, closest star to this planet is like 2 point something million light years away. That's a long ass distance, right? And if you, I'm a Star Trek fan, and some of the technology on Star Trek explain things in a certain way. They had a deflector shield because of the friction that is created in space. Space is not a matterless environment. There is matter in space, and if you're flying through space at light speed with with metal objects that we created on this planet, you're going to create friction, and it'll burn that damn thing up. So they had the deflector shield for that purpose. Now, not saying Star Trek is all right about that, but it's a good thought process. What I do accept that there are extra dimensional beings who then can take form in this dimension. So if you're a higher dimensional being, you can take form in this dimension. Enki, Enlil, Marduk, all these beings that we have believed or written in books and scrolls and tablets that these are gods. And they are just as flawed as we are, just as awesome as we are. They can have the propensity for being good or the propensity for being evil, for being positive or being negative. And we've confused the issue through history and time to think that they were gods. If you were to go back, be able to time travel back 5,000 years, but had access to all the technology you have today and be able to reach back and grab and do things, you go back, somebody's sick, bam, you can heal them because you know that they just that they got a curable disease in our world. All of a sudden, you're the god of life, of resuscitation. You go back before agriculture, and all of a sudden, you're showing them how to farm and you're showing them how to build canals and all that. You're the god of agriculture. You know, you'll be deified. You'll be deified. And then in today's world, we be talking about, you know, oh, there was the god Jerry. Jerry was God. And what the Lord Jerry said is that upon the Sabbath day, if you take more than 1,000 steps, then you will be damned to hell. Because Lord Jerry said that, you know, back in the day. And Lord Jerry, he came, he appeared to the people in a blinding light, because you came out of your time travel bubble. In a blinding light, Jerry appeared. And when he came forth, he was ablaze in new wardrobe, because you're wearing the kind of wardrobe that we wear. That would be, you be God, dude. I'm sorry. Y'all know I have fun. Shaking my head, that movie made me think. I love that movie. True, please. Oh, it's posting on Facebook right now, and it'll post definitely on YouTube when it's done. But yeah, I mean, that's what it will be. You'd be confused as God. So I think that these are extra dimensional beings that are able to materialize in our existence. If we understand, okay, so let's say we're on a third dimensional plane. If we truly understood that we are just energy, and if on this plane we can really get into that full understanding, that is what they say when the Buddhists say you get that Buddha mind or you get that Christ mind, that you got to that level. You become an adept, a guru, a master. You got that level where you recognize that this is all just energy. And if you can cause the vibration of your cells in your body to vibrate fast enough, then you should be able to float in the air. Or, even better yet, you should be able to leave this dimension, go to another dimension. Now, of course, we ain't got that yet. At least the majority of us has maybe some, I don't know. Can't say yes, can't say no. Some people just say yes because we want to believe, because if there is a possibility, then we want to say that somebody has, realized that possibility. So uh, if there is, then there is no hell, there is no heaven. There is just other states of consciousness. And if you are just like the law of correspondence in the Hermetics says that as above, so below, and as below, so above, then that means that if you are in a higher state of consciousness, then you have the capabilities of affecting the lower state of consciousness by doing things like materializing, by doing things that we would call a miracle or magic or, whatever, godlike powers. So you'd be able to do those things, and maybe even on the lower, because it does say the lower can affect the higher. I mean, those dogs up here, we would consider a dog a lower consciousness to man. But if that dog came over here and bit me, that dog is affecting my it's affecting my status. Um, who said this quote? How well we know what a profitable superstition this fable of has been for us and our predecessors. Oh my God, I hate you, Iron Charioteer, because I know who said that. I know who said that. Oh gosh, it was somebody in the Catholic Church back in the day. I think it might have been one of the popes. Might have been Pope. Was it Pope Leo the 10th? I'm quite sure it was one of the popes back in the day who said that. I know the quote though. I know the quote. Ha! Pope Leo the 10th. That's right. I'll take Pope Leo the 10th for 1,000. Ha ha. Yes. Yeah, I thought it was that dude. Yeah, but think about that. Now think about that. This dude can say that. He can say that. And sorry, my sinus is still kind of draining. I'm gonna try a nasal drain later on today. I'm gonna see how that works. I might record it. If it's gross, I'll post it. If it's not gross, I'm not gonna post it because then it won't look right. But yeah, I'm one of those people who I just try some stuff. So yeah. So yeah, Pope Leo the 10th. And what amazes me is that a person can say that. And this is that fear of hell. This is how amazing, how intense that fear of hell is that Pope Leo the 10th can say that. Can say that. And people will ignore it. Why? Because they are afraid to go to hell. Because their book tells them that they stop believing in what these people who say things like that actually say, then they go to hell. And they rather just ignore it. How many times have they said, I'd rather be safe? Right? People believe in hell more than heaven. Yep. Which proves that it's not real because fear is not real. And it's not. Now, see, if you say the Catholic Church has a rotten foundation, then that means all of Christendom has a rotten foundation. And what their own book says that if it's built on sand, then it'll fall. Right? That's why it's falling now. Because Catholicism is a foundation. I was just talking to someone, I forget who I was talking to, and I was explaining to them the gunpowder assassination, the failure of the gunpowder assassination, and how because of that, the Jesuits then came out with their own version of the King James Bible, and because they made the King James Bible, all these new translations and American standards, and all, they're translated from the Jesuits' King James Bible. So the majority of Bibles read today are still controlled by the Catholic Church. So they can call themselves Protestants and all these other different denominations, but you're still being controlled by the Protestant church. And then I saw a video some years ago where all these higher ups of the Anglican church and the Protestant this church and the Lutheran church and all these churches came and they were kissing the Pope's ring. So I'm just like, y'all know who's in control, but yet still follow. And they had the AME churches was all there, the Baptists, the Southern Baptists, and everybody was kissing that ring. That's right, Georgia talk, kissing that ring. The Lord's Prayer says that also, on earth as it is in heaven. Exactly. Look, all they're doing is taking from the Hermetics. I mean, all things come from basic Hermetic understanding of the universal laws, the teachings of thought, the Emerald Tablets. All of that still is that's part of what I'm going to talk about when in Charlotte, is how the line that connects all these things, how they're all the same, you know. And then they extrapolated and created their own versions of it. if you look at the Sumerian story, the reason why some people said there are contradictions or something like that within the Sumerian story is not so much contradictions as much as you're looking at a 2,000-year history of going from the Sumerians who birthed out the Assyrians. I think it goes Sumerians, no, Sumerians, Arcadians, Assyrians, Babylonians, Chaldeans, and then out of the Babylonians you get the Hebrew around between 500 and 600 BCE. But that same story though, Anu and Titi and Ea and Enki and Enlil and all them starts with the Sumerians, but the Arcadians, Assyrians, Babylonians, Chaldeans, they all are telling the same story, but now they're telling it to fit their culture of that day. So there are variations in the story because different people are telling it at different time frames. They're taking artistic licenses with it, but they're still essentially telling the same story. And what's funny to me, people are like, no, no, that's not happening, that's not happening. So there's a verse in Psalms where it talks about as God was creating everything, uh, the earth and all that stuff, and he was smashing the head of the Leviathan and killing the sea monsters. But that's what Marduk did. Marduk, when I think it's is it TT? Who became the damn serpent? I think it's TT. When she became the great dragon, and he slew the great dragon by piercing her belly, then he took a club and he bashed her head in, and then he split her in half, and the lower half became the earth, and the other half, the top half became the stars. Well, the lower half became the land, and the top half became the stars. It's like, y'all, if you don't see that came from with the Hebrews coming out of Babylon, it's the same damn story, just told different, with artistic license. And you're talking about a story that was told in 4000 BCE. Now you're retelling this story in 500 BCE. So you're gonna get a hell of a lot of variation because cultures change. I pissed off a lady friend of mine recently because I told her that in the original, she loves Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid is her favorite movie of all time. She loves Mermaid. And I told her that, did you know that in the original telling of the story, Ursula is Ariel's aunt? She was not happy about that. That Ursula is Ariel's aunt. But it's a retelling. The Pixar, I think it's Pixar, is a retelling of the same story. Just different things. We take different changes. So it's the same thing that happens over and over again. When is the event in Charlotte? It's June 8th. June 8th. Go to betheevolution.com and all the information is there. So go to betheevolution.com and we'll be there. In Rock Hill, I think. Pope Leo X, son of Larenzo Medici. That's right. And who was Lorenzo Medici? He was one of the biggest bankers during the Renaissance. Follow the money. Follow the money. And his daddy Cosmo Medici, who was a part of secret societies. And I'm not against secret society. I actually love secret societies personally. I look to join all the secret societies. Personally, me, I want to join every secret society that will give me membership. Because you know what? They know shit that y'all don't know. They know stuff that I don't know. They know the real stuff that's going on. So I will gladly join a secret society. So if any Illuminatis are watching this, come recruit me, please. If anyone from Skull and Bones, I know I didn't go to Yale, but come recruit me. Who else we got? the Sons of Mithra, come get me. I'm already Mason. What else we got? Any of these secret organizations, I'm ready. I'm ready because I don't care about your other little stuff. I just want the knowledge. I just want the knowledge. Care less about all this other stuff, what other people think. So, but yeah, a lot of people don't know that the reason why Lorenzo's son got to that point, is because of his great grandfather, Cosimo Medici, who was the son of Mithra, and they used their pull and sway to get them in there. Is best known for his wasteful habits. I don't even know that word. I'm gonna have to look that one up. I ain't even gonna try to say it. Activities, hedonistic quotes. Since God has given us the papacy, let us enjoy it. Yeah, but Pope Leo was he was screwing little boys in the butt, everything. And he was disgusting. Apostle Paul writes that religion is superstition, but preachers don't preach this. Of course not. What? Dude, they're preaching against their money. They ain't gonna preach against their money. I mean, I want to go make popcorn shop. That's like me going around. Okay, so I am gonna start back doing health training as well. I've been just having a bunch of people contact me want me to be their personal trainer again. So I'm gonna go back into my health. I'm gonna add that back into my repertoire. But I'm not gonna go to my health clients telling them to go eat my popcorn and ice cream and Italian ice. I tell them in moderation. But then my popcorn clients, the ones who don't care about their health, I ain't gonna tell them that they need to go for join my fitness program either. You know, they ain't gonna preach against their money. No. I have been saying the same thing about hell. People won't do this, won't dot this door if it weren't for fear. No, they won't. They won't go through that door because of fear. Be careful of the black nobility of Venice and Phoenicia. Hey, man. I'm going to walk those lines very cautiously because, and Didi, I know what you're saying yay for, but yeah. Actually, you are part of the reason that made me start thinking about that, Didi, when I saw you down in Fort Lauderdale. And I was like, you know what? I've been having a lot of people ask me about my fitness programs and the whole life coaching stuff that I do around it. So I was like, and it's a better use of my time as well when it comes to some of my coaching programs and some of the other things I do. But anyway, I should do a video about secret societies. That is not something we should just be standing there like, I always believe in infiltration, right? Infiltration is an amazing thing because it's far easier to change a situation from the inside than it is from the outside. It's just it's just like in fitness. When you begin to, because when I do my fitness program this time, I have my herbalist is right now preparing 7 different tinctures for my fitness clients to be able to utilize, because I want to affect my people at their cellular level first, and then we go from the cellular to the fluid to the their fluid systems, and then their organs, skeletal, and the whole body. So we go from the smaller inside to the outside. So we infiltrate. I'm infiltrating the body as well as working with their mindset, figuring out the triggers that cause them to overeat, to not do the workouts, to put themselves in a bad situation, to sabotage their day, sabotage their week, get their relationships right, get their money right, get their whole 360 degrees of life right? And good, you should teach people about detox. So when it comes to every organization on the planet, I say we infiltrate them, become a part of them, not run away from them, because you people screaming about Trump, right? Right? Yes, and actually, Didi, each one of these tinctures are based on your chakras. Each one is based on your chakras. I'm going to use chakras. That's my fave. But we bemoan about Trump in this this country. It ain't gonna help. He gonna still do what he does. We whine and complain about the justice system. Unless we got some people on the inside, it ain't gonna change. We complain about the police department. Unless we control the police department with money and votes for that police chief, it ain't gonna happen. But you still gotta have people on the inside. You gotta have people on the inside. And if you want to change an organization, you gotta get to the inside. Yep. Gotta get to the inside. So I believe in that. So I believe in getting on the inside of these organizations and then finding out their information, then use it for our grander purposes. Oh my God, I need your help. Awesome, we own frequency. All right, we can do that, young lady. I am really seriously going to try this nasal nasal wash today. We're going to see how that works. I think it'd be pretty cool. I got have snot stuff, mucus coming all out my face. I think it's cool. But yeah, so heaven and hell, man. At the end of the day, I understand this person's question. They're asking Christians to explain these things. Most Christians are going to use those verses that I told you about. As I say, as long as you believe, then you're good. You're going to heaven. And even if you believe you've been in prison, you've been killing people, murdering people, raping dudes while you're in prison. And then all of a sudden you get close, you're getting older, and all of a sudden you say, oh, you know what? God, forgive me, I believe in you. And then you go to heaven. And then right there next to you in heaven is that child that you murdered, that you molested, There's a young lady I know, she was molested and brutally beaten for the majority of her young life up until her later late teen life. that dude gonna be in heaven with her? After all the stuff she told me about him, he gonna be in heaven with her? That's a effed up system. That all he got to do is wait to the end, because he might be brutalizing somebody right now. All these people who are running these sex trades, and they believe in Jesus, pray all the time, got their Bibles. All those slave masters who beat their slaves got their Bibles. All those slaves who turned on their other slaves, they got their Bible. You telling me they're gonna be in heaven? A Christian will say that if they believe in their heart, then they are a new creature and they have changed. And then since the Bible said when you get there, there'll be no mourning, no crying. And that little girl who was raped, she ain't gonna remember that fact that she was raped. So she will love on this dude next to her, her rapist, because her mind's been wiped. His mind's been wiped. So my question, why she got to go through all that trauma if all you're gonna do is wipe her mind anyway? What was the point? What's the point if you're just gonna wipe people's mind? So it's all made up stuff just to keep people in fear, keep you in line, keep you getting your money, but keep getting your obedience more so than that. Your obedience to not realize that, hey, there's some evil people who are running things and we need to overthrow them. It is when the people mobilize and realize that they don't have to be held under that foot. It's kind of like one of my favorite movies, Ants. Is it Ants? It's either Ants or A Bug's Life. I think it's A Bug's Life. A Bug's Life. Yeah. Yes, I love animation movies, so get over it. But A Bug's Life, when the cicada, what is that thing? Yeah, cicada, a grasshopper cicada, where it was like, hey, you know what? One ant's no problem. But if all them ants realize that they got numbers, we done, we starve. And that's what happened in the movie. All the ants banded together and they overran the grasshoppers. So religion is used to keep us in line, keep the ants in line, keep the ants from realizing that you don't have to take this form of government. You don't have to take, these different, you don't have to give up 10% of your income. You don't have to show up at these events. You don't have to do all these things that we're telling you now. Does that mean that you run around with no morality? No. There are many atheists, people born atheists, born and raised. Well, everybody's born atheist. But what I'm saying is there are people who are born and raised atheists. And they are even more moral than people born and raised Christian, Muslim, Jew, Hindu, Buddha, or anything else. So morality has nothing to do with your religion. There have been codes of morality before there was religions. Before most of the current day religions existed, I should say, because they had their own version of religions. So that's all used to control us, and we can realize that. Just got over yours 2 days ago. But even showing their own spirits, they still won't open their eyes to the truth. Of course not. It's that fear, man. Yep, Jim Jones in heaven with all the people he killed. An atom needs an electron and a proton to work. No division, day and night, etc. Yeah, it does. Without it, you don't have an atom. You just got a proton. You just got an electron or a neutron. That's it. And even in between the spaces, there's still matter. There's dark matter in between the spaces of the protons and the neutrons within the atom. So there's even more substance there that we don't even know. We don't know what it does. We don't know how it works. We might figure it out one day. But yeah, I just want to come on here, guys. I'm gonna have to get ready to go because I think my phone. Oh yeah, my phone's down to 19%. For many years, I was a slave to the Jesus myth. Once you see it, you start to say, "Damn, I used to sound like a fool," and it happens. And that's why people go through their stages. We go through anger, go through frustration, we get mad, we look at other people like how stupid you are, or we have that compassion like, man, I gotta bring you out, I gotta bring you out, I gotta bring you out, but then they want to come out, and you're like, come on, man, it's right here, it's right here. But people are going to realize it on their own, or they're never going to realize it. I always tell people, I told this Muslim dude the other day, no, Hebrew Israelite dude the other day, look, dude, if Hebrew Israelite keep you from murdering my child, raping my daughter, keep your Hebrew Israelite. Now, stop yelling at me. Stop looking at me. Stop asking me that stupid ass question. Oh, do you know your nationality? Because I broke that shit down. I just stopped him in his tracks with that one. And I was just like, nationalities is a created thing. But since you're trying to point out a nationality that started at between 500 to 600 BCE, and you really and recognize that they came out of Babylon, and that would be your nationality because they had that label back then. And the Babylonians came out of the Assyrians and Akkadians and on up to the Sumerians, and we don't really know when before the Sumerians, but it was probably somebody before them, but we don't have any record. So you really don't know your nationality because you just throwing darts at a damn dartboard. And he just looked at me like I was crazy, and I was just like, whatever, dude. So, but I was pissed when I saw him anyway yesterday because there was in Atlanta yesterday, there was a Hindu festival and worshiping Krishna, you know, the last coming of Brahma in Krishna. And they had the drums out there. They were getting down. They was hitting it. And they had free food. They were feeding homeless people. They were feeding anybody who showed up. Anybody who came through, you could eat. And I was tripping because I was like, look at all these Christian folks going up there eating the Indian food because it's free. And they worshiping Krishna right now. I was like, that's cool. And then you had some other dude carrying a big ass cross trying to tell people there is no God but Jesus and all that. And I'm like, dude, if y'all was having a Christian festival and a bunch of Hindi came over saying there is no God but Krishna, there is no God but Brahma, y'all be pissed. Y'all be like, why are you showing up? Why are you trying to profess your religion? Why are you trying to? Y'all be pissed. Why y'all showing up to these people event? These people got their permits, they got everything, they got the police protection, they got the bathrooms out there, they did everything to have a lawful gathering in the city of Atlanta to have their festival, and they feeding people, you know, free food. And what makes y'all think that y'all could come out here and say something and do something? I'm gonna probably do an Instagram post about this because it pissed me off yesterday when I saw that. So when the Hebrew dude came up to me, I was already mad. I was already mad about that. I was like, because y'all are just disrespectful as hell. Let these people have what they have, right? You know. My parents didn't ask me to be Christian. I was forced to be one, like most. Mine tried, but it didn't take. By the time I was 9, I was like, something fishy about this. Oh, my pleasure. All right. Coach, black people, Christians, what about cultural imperialism? Oh, I'm down to 15% on my phone. Right, and that cultural imperialism, if I understand what you're saying correctly, man, Coach Sean Thomas, you late. You about done. And that is one of the things of cultural imperialism. It's like if you black and you're in the South, you have to be Christian. And you have to be Baptist or Methodist or something like that. And people look at you like you're crazy if you're not, right? They have this negative idea, you know. People will just say stuff to you because they have the expectation that you are the same thing that they are. And if I were to go to California, well, when I was in California, I didn't get the same thing. The culture in California is different towards black people. Black people are different towards each other. It's not as hard coded, you know. And when I was in Germany, the Africans there and the black Germans, they didn't have the same type mentality either, but they had their own cultural imperialism that they were trying to employ. If you ride in the car with me, I play like Afro beats all the time, and people like, where you from? You from Nigeria? Your family must be from Nigeria. You got to be from Nigeria. I'm like, dude, no, I'm from Marietta, Georgia. I was born and raised in Marietta. My family's been in Georgia for like 4 or 5 generations. What? But it's like, nah. One girl a couple days ago, because you know, guys, sometimes I live. She was like, okay, where your family from? I was like, Marietta. Okay, but where your family really from? Marietta, Carrollton, Georgia. Okay, but going further back than that. And I was like, why? She's like, what the music you listen to? Can it be that I just like Afro beats? Can it be that back in the mid-90s when I was stationed in Germany and I was around a bunch of Africans that I started listening to a lot of their pop culture music and I just like it since I was already into reggae? And I just crushed the little girl and I was like, look, I say, stop thinking that somebody has to have some kind of family connection that they're familiar with in order to like a certain type of music. I like Queen. Queen is one of my favorite groups in the world. I will rock out to Bohemian Rhapsody in a heartbeat. So does that mean that my family must be a bunch of white people? No. I like Queen. I like Bohemian Rhapsody. I like Somebody to Love. I like most of their music. You know, Another One Bites. Y'all listen to it all the time. Another One Bites It Does. We Will Rock You. We Are the Champions. Y'all listen to Queen too. Some people listen to Queen, don't even know they listen to Queen. You know, you play high school sports, you listen to Queen. But that culture imperialism says that you gotta be this or that or that. All I gotta be is my own dang self. Right? I've been told that I'm too black not to be I'm I'm too black to not be a. And see, that's just dumb as shit. That's just dumb. But guys, I gotta go. I gotta leave this because I got a few things to do before I go watch Toronto beat up on Golden State again. So uh, I ain't starting that conversation. So don't even try to have it right with me right now. But I appreciate you guys for spending this time with me. If you're a Patreon, if you're on my Patreon, I really appreciate you for being on my Patreon. For those who subscribe to the channel, I appreciate your subscriptions as well. Keep spreading the word, keep being great, keep being awesome. If you're interested in my coaching programs, go to coachrenz.com. That's coachrenz.com. Go to there and you can see the different type of life coaching, business coaching, spiritual coaching, wellness coaching will be added today. You can go and see all that, and we move forward in life, and there's an abundance in life, and we should have all that abundance within our lives. We should never be going with lack. The universe is not filled with lack. If you saw my video yesterday, suffering and the desire to suffering, and suffering, there is no piety in suffering. People think that they're supposed to go without in order to elevate themselves to that higher consciousness, and I say bullshit on that. So it's not for you to live that life. So remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. And we out. If I can